It's not yours. Stop it, yours. It's mine.
Okay.
Stop it.
So start by understanding what is A.
Only big one, see.
Jaden.
Sorry.
Here is going to be A. Here is going to be B. Here is going to be A. Here is going to be B. Okay, so where the location of A's and B's. Okay, so now, Jeffrey, if you guys need to move C to on this side so you can see, that's fine. So y equal to a sine of bx. So first thing you have to know, A and B is going to affect the graph. How does A affect the graph from yesterday? You remember that?
I don't think we did.
Yeah, if they go like this, right? Because that circle gets bigger, so I'm drawing like a bounce back and forth much bigger. Does that make sense? And the B is affecting what?
With
The stretch and compress. So A affecting the amplitude, B is affecting the periods. So now we have to define something. So I'm going to write blue. This is what you have to know. The blue is this, is the amplitude. Amplitude is always absolute value of A. Absolute value A. Period is always 2 pi over B, this B. You have to memorize this for the test. For sine and cosine graph. Tangent's different, but for sine and cosine it's going to be this two. Are we okay? Now for the graphing part, you usually have to graph the first point, total of 5 points. Like you remember when we graph in a line, they use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Like when you're graphing a line. But we don't no longer do that, but there's still 5 points, right? But here it's the same thing, it's the same 5 point, but it's different intervals here now. So you have to figure out what is the something called quarter period. So quarter period is not commonly asked, but it's going to help you in graphing. So what is quarter period? Quarter period is going to be 2 pi over b, which is whatever that number is. I'm going to divide it by 4. Well, if one period is a period, quarter period is going to be divided by 4. Right? David, wake up. Okay.
12 over 1 or 12 over 4?
2 pi over b divided by 4.
Okay.
Okay, so always divided by 4. It's just the period divided by 4. You can think about it as equal to period divided by 4. Does that make sense? Period divided by 4. So whatever period you got, divided by 4. Now we're going to have to understand a little bit about sine graph and cosine graph. So let's start with sine graph and cosine graph. So let's start with y equal to sine of x. And if I were to graph this, usually they will have 2 pi as periods, and it's going to be pi here, and now here it's going to be pi over what?
4.
Not 4, 2, and 3 pi over 4, 3 pi over 2. So the graph's going to go like this. So usually I have 1 and -1. That make sense? That's what we did before. Y is equal to negative sine of x. It's going to go in from same thing, but instead of going,
Y equals 7.
it's going to reflect, right? So how does it reflect? So it's going to switch the other side. Y is equal to cosine of x. What does cosine of x do? You guys already graphed it yesterday. What does the graph do? It starts at 1, because cosine of 0 is at 1, and 2 pi is going to be finished, so pi, and here's pi over 2, and here's 3 pi over 2. So this one's going to be like this, -1, so it's going to be like this, like this, like this. What do you think negative cosine is gonna do?
Huh?
Huh?
Start on negative.
Start at negative 1. Good. So it's gonna go with, start at negative 1, 2 pi, pi. So it's gonna be here, here, positive 1, here, and here. Do you know why we're looking for quarter periods? Because quarter period is gonna have a one major change. It went from 0, went from the midline, all the way to the highest point at a quarter periods. After another quarter period, I'm going back to 0. After another quarter period, I can go back to the minimum and the middle. Does that make sense? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna summarize this. A lot of people don't understand the graph, but I can summarize it in a chart. You just have to know the chart. So here's my chart. The chart is gonna compose of midline. And it's gonna compose of maximum. And it's gonna compose of what? Minimum. Okay? So there are 3 different layers. Where does the sine start? At maximum or midline or minimum?
Middle.
Midline.
It's always in the middle. If you realize they always start in the middle, right? So sine of x, or sine of theta, sorry, use theta here. Oh, they use x, use x. Keep on changing. Okay, sine of x, and there's a negative sine of x. So this one is gonna go up, and this one's gonna go down, but it starts at a midline. So this is a starting position. Starting, and this is what's gonna go. Are we okay? How about cosine?
The maximum.
Cosine is gonna be start here, right? And the cosine of x is gonna be right here. So this is a positive cosine, it's gonna start on the top. Negative cosine is gonna be a start on the bottom. But each time they can only go with certain order. So if I start at the middle, right? If positive is gonna go max, and then what?
Middle.
In the middle
Then middle.
and min, right? So that's just if we start middle. Or you can go with, if I start at a max, what happened?
You go to middle.
It has to come back down, right? Mid, and then what?
Minimum.
Down.
Minimum, and then what? Mid, and this one is gonna be mid, and this one is gonna be minimum, mid, as a max. So do you see that 5 increment? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I start, depending on where my position is, this is actually the positive sign, and this one is the positive cosine. So now we're gonna analyze this. We're gonna say, okay, let's graph it. Let's graph the first one. Y equal to, I don't know, maybe -2, and maybe sine of x. What's a number in, what's a b here? What's a and what is b in here?
Negative 2. Negative 2.
So what's my amplitude?
Negative 2. Positive 2.
Is equal to absolute value of -2, that's equal to positive 2. Are we okay?
Yeah. What is the minimum sign?
And the period is what?
Middle.
What is period?
That's just, 1. No.
It's not 1, it's 2 pi over b.
Oh.
So what is b?
2 pi.
It's just 2 pi, so 2 pi over b is 1, so that's equal to 2 pi. Are we okay here? What is a quarter period? So I'm gonna write down 1/4 periods. So basically, take a period,
1/2 pi.
divided by 4, right?
Yeah.
So that's equal to 2 pi over 4, so that's equal to pi over 2. Am I going too fast?
No.
Okay, so now the quarter period is this, so you say, okay, well, I'm gonna graph this function. I'm gonna find out all the points. So I'm gonna start at 0. they don't always start at 0, but here it's all start at 0. In this kind of formation, they always start at 0. They are like a original function, so like a parent function, so they start at 0. But not all the time they start at 0. So I'm gonna have a 5 coordinates. x1, x2, x3, x4. What are those 5 coordinates? Well, just gonna start from 0, and then gonna add a quarter period. So what's 0 plus quarter period? Pi over 2, right? Okay, so what happened with the pi over 2? I'm gonna add a quarter period. What's quarter period? So what's pi over 2 plus pi over 2?
Oh, Jeffy. 2 pi over 2.
What is pi over 2 plus pi over 2? So you're gonna add a quarter period, right? So that's equal to 0 plus the quarter periods. So quarter period, so which is 0 plus what? Pi over 2, right? So now I'm gonna start at pi over 2. I'm gonna add a pi over 2.
2 pi over 2.
Thank you, 2 pi over 2. That's all you have to do. You cannot change the bottom. Now you can also simplify the pi. And then you got 2 pi over 2. Adding pi over 2. So it's going to be 3 pi over 2. And you got 3 pi over 2. And pi over 2 is going to be what? 4 pi over 2, right?
Yeah.
So pretty much that's going to be a graph. So we're going to have graph y equal to -2 sine of x. So we start at here. And -2, so we're going to go 1, 2, 1, and 2. Are we okay here?
Pause.
You're going 2 because that's the amplitude, right?
I'm going to go on 2 because that's amplitude. But I start which coordinate? 0. Okay? Now, what's the next coordinate I'm going to go to? I start at 0. What's the next coordinate? Pi over 2. And then what's the next coordinate? 2 pi over 2, which is pi. 3 pi over 2, 4 pi over 2. Good. So now you're just gonna see that change. I start from the middle, and this is sine x. It's gonna go up. How much up? The amplitude up or whatever. So it's go up or down. It's actually go down because it's negative sign, right?
Oh, okay.
So, but it's -2 sign, so it's gonna go down how many units?
2.
2 units.
Jim, what do you have such a big head?
Why you gotta be so ugly? I'm just kidding.
Are we okay? And that's gonna go up to midline. And it's gonna go up to here, 2, and then come back down. And usually you have to grab 2 periods. So 2 periods is gonna be here, 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 but you should finish at 8 pi over 4. And this is 6 pi over 4. And this is 2, sorry. This is over 2. And this one is 5 pi over 2.
We have to go all the way to there?
Yeah, you have to go with usually 2 periods.
Oh, okay.
Did you remember the packet I gave it to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one or this one?
I want you to graph this one here. Y equal to -3 sine of 2x. So the packet I give it to you looks like this. Most of you guys don't have it. I'll give you another one if you need. I put like 800 copies.
Oh, the packet, not the paper? Okay.
Okay, so you're gonna start at the first page here. It says the way the stapler is on the right hand top corner. It's going from -3 pi to +3 pi. I want you to grab this functions right here. This is a function I want you to grab, which is y is equal to -3 sine of 2x.
Sure, do I get a packet?
Oh, yeah, like that.
Yeah.
That'll need it.
You have 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to start easy one first?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's start with easy one, which is 2 sine of x.
Okay, y equals 2 sine of x?
Yeah, this is the first one, and this is the second one.
Okay.
Wouldn't you have been able to simplify the x4?
I can simplify that, but I don't want to simplify because a lot of you guys don't know how to keep the increment. So if you keep the increment, you can simplify after that.
So that's
Just, yeah. So you just get the answer and then put it on the next one?
Huh?
So you just get the answer, so like for x1 you get the answer.
Yeah, just adding, keep on adding all quarter periods. But you start at 0.
Sir, that's a P, right?
Where's the P?
1/4 P.
Periods.
No, after that.
Periods.
Quarter periods.
Quarter periods.
X1.
X1 as 1/4 P, yeah. So it's a quarter period. Yes. So let's start with this one first.
Do the one here.
Yeah, do that on the first one. Remember, they already draw the grid for you. Your life is a lot easier. You don't have to create your own grids. I used to ask students create their own grid, and it's a mess. So I try to use this template this time, see if it works better. But please know how to use those templates.
We'll still use the one the.
Wait, is this right? Before I like actually finish it. This one?
Is that 2 or 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Huh?
For X2, is that 2 or 4? No, not there. Right there. Yeah.
Pi over 2 plus pi over 2 equal to 2 pi
Oh,
over 2.
that's high.
I just keep on adding. I mean, don't even like, just understand, just keep on adding quarter period. So take a previous point and add a quarter period.
There.
Yeah, that's the first one. So make sure everybody in your group knows how to graph. So you need to go back to your group. Where's your group?
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
My group is David. Did we just? My group is David.
What's your sister?
We just did that.
It doesn't work. I try to rub it as creepy as possible. It doesn't work.
He looks so tired. So what do you do this morning? We just did, right?
No, he's like, he has sleep apnea or something.
Yeah, something positive.
But I usually want him sleep this period and stay awake in my calculus period.
Do I do the next one?
Yeah, you can do the next one.
Do you want us to go from?
Wait, hold on. Yeah, that's perfect.
Why'd you put the two
Let's see
X
if I
in
can draw a
parentheses?
grid
Yeah.
on this time.
Huh?
Does that change anything?
Does that change anything since you put it in the parentheses?
That's still a B.
Okay.
Do you want us to go all the way?
Extra, right, too.
The whole graph? Yeah.
How many? He heard it.
He's like, don't give me a quickie rub. Doesn't work.
Pi, right? Divide that for,
Why are you so tired?
pi, right?
What does that have to do with anything?
Cause that's what you add, I think. Yeah. So you get your X's.
Cause like I was finishing copying down. So
So like,
Two X's.
And you can trace back, you always trace it back.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Negative.
Let's see.
The first one is beautiful, how about the second one?
Would you do 2, right? You do 2 pi divided by 2.
Yeah, 2 pi divided by 2 is what?
Alright, that's it.
How do you know like how wide to go? How do you know how wide to go?
Because we're doing by a paragraph.
Oh, so every paragraph, you have to like draw up and down.
Yeah.
Is this right?
I don't know.
Let me see what you
That's what I got. Yeah, so, I don't think it look like a.
Wait, yeah, I did it like every single.
Yeah, so did I.
No.
This is part of the fourth. So then go right here, and
What?
then we go up.
Yeah, she's right. No, she's right.
I know.
What did you do?
You said paragraph four was like how far we go.
Yeah, that is how far I went. So which one? Second one? So I thought it's two.
I mean, what you do?
Absolute value is only if it's negative or becomes positive. If it's positive, it stays a positive.
Sometimes it's how down.
That's how the two lines work. Yeah. Oh my God.
I don't think so. Oh, give me a minute.
Where's the pretty color?
So you mean like every point?
Yeah,
Is it way-
Every quarter.
Ask you on the test, I would say that.
Part before, right?
Make sure that you don't have to
Every
trace
quarter.
it.
Oh, you do the whole thing, huh?
The first one you don't have, the first one you can actually get those
I
values.
think I got it.
The other alpha represents where the periods are. No, it's not.
Sorry, amplitude is negative.
Why use the pen?
And then this is the.
So you do 2 pi and then b is 2.
Yeah, he was
So
really
what's
good.
2 pi?
Yo, you my pencil, Jaden.
So,
What?
You don't have to just pi.
Nigga, this is mine.
We both have that. And then pi
No, this
divided
is
by four.
mine.
We go.
Bet.
You know, yeah, this is my pencil.
Pi divided by four.
How do you come to school and have a pencil?
That is my pencil. You stole my pencil.
Just make pi divided by 4. Just turn it into a fraction
You're
by
not
4.
getting
Right? And then after you do that, you just do the same what you do with the x's and x's. Ah, there you go. And then you just do, and then you just keep adding. So it's 0 plus quarter period, right? Which is pi over
The
4.
first one's gonna be over here.
So it's gonna be, instead of being a pi over 2, it's gonna be a pi over 4.
One's gonna be over here.
And then
And then you just add
pi
it.
over 4 is over.
You add it, you're
It's just
gonna get pi over 2, right?
And you just,
So the
you
first
set the
one, and the
amplitude
second
as 3,
one,
right?
put it 0. First one is
adding?
But here.
he's adding the quarter
No, here,
period.
because of the period.
So like, since
Get
it's
it?
sine, you're gonna start negative sign, you go start at middle. Plus quarter pi, so like you're adding pi over 2. So your first one's gonna be
This is
pi over 2.
here.
Because you
You're
found
gonna
it.
add another pi over 2. Yeah.
Adding the quarter period.
And then
Yeah.
upon quarter period, just divide.
God damn it, I'm gonna be in this video now.
You didn't want to.
Who wants to be in the video?
You're usually in the thumbnail.
It's in the video itself.
So it's gonna be the same point as the last.
Yeah. But we're gonna be going up. With positive pi sign.
Guys, knock it out. Get to work. If you know how to do it, just ask them. Ask those people to come help you. Because Jaden, if you know how to do it, go help somebody. If Andres, if you know how to do it, go help your group. I don't know what you know.
Does anybody need help? Anybody need help? No? Good.
That's what we're gonna do, Miriam.
If you can help, then you can do a lot better. No, the amplitude is from that line to the next.
Oh, so it's like.
Wavelength. In physics, I don't know, the wavelength. Is how.
The one thing would be 6 pi, right?
Not entirely sure.
Like, you know how like, if you turn up your car speaker, the amplitude goes up, so the wave
Not the
is
period,
higher.
the quadrant.
Mine's dead.
No, you may think that you have to do it on both
The
sides.
wavelength is
You
shorter.
think too complicated. Think about something simple.
You
Wait,
like,
no,
no,
we
this
don't-
is mine.
We cannot do
God.
wavelength.
That's a complete understatement. I completely forgot.
Yeah, it's not. No, but I'm giving an example.
Pi.
The amplitude is how short or long the wave.
No. Amplitude is a
I still got
distance
some
from
here.
here.
That's what.
From the midline to,
Oh.
that's the density.
Yeah.
Come back.
Alright.
That
You
is
see,
the
that's what I-
amplitude from midline to the
Yeah, and if it's shorter, if the wavelength is shorter, it gets taller.
No.
That, I'm just, you are thinking too complicated, but whatever. Whatever applies to you, that's, I'm okay. As long as you know how to grab.
I'm dead. And you drive me having.
Nice, nice.
Do I have to do it on the other side too?
No, yeah, just kind of trace it back.
Oh, you want to see both of them?
I'm dead. So it's 4 pi. Pi with 4. Not 4.
Okay, so I want you to grab this one, Andres, don't leave yet.
I have like a minute.
I don't care.
Oh, yeah, a minute.
I care, he gets the table like you
Fuck. My fault.
Hey, good friend, brother.
And Jaden, you know you're on internet, right?
So you're gonna get out too.
Can't do it.
Exactly.
I can't breathe.
This is actually what? No,
Very
it's
good,
not.
right? Very good.
I'm just proud of myself that I got a point and a half higher than you on the last test.
5.5. This is negative.
You say
first one is ready. And then try the second one and third one.
Monsieur, is there be a homework too?
Your homework is gonna draw on the packet. So that way you don't have to recreate the grids. A lot of people have problem creating grids.
Is it gonna be on the same page we just did it?
David, you wake up. You wake up for calculus.
It's okay, David, I'm here now. You open your eyes.
I'm like so, like kind of resist myself. Don't call you Bobby. I'm like, Brendan.
What? We don't look alike though.
You act alike.
Okay,
David, do you
well,
think Bobby and Brendan are alike? They're like same
He's
species.
like, who's Bobby? Was he my Duke or what?
Yeah.
Oh, cool, free homework. Oh man, this is free homework. I'm supposed to have some nice handwriting. I mean, nice graph, not handwriting, but yeah, nice graph.
Nice curve.
Yes. That's how I like nice curves.
So that's the only time you can go to girls and say, "Hey, nice curve."
Yeah, is that good? Who's this guy?
Hey, nice curve.
Booty looking like a sine graph.
Stephanie. Yeah, I just want to make you feel awkward. You know, I think those people like you now. There's like a gang of people like you. Doesn't want me hoover around. And they say the radius is like 5 feet. Like the radius is 5 feet. Sarah's like, don't come near here. 5 feet. 5 feet.
You like a warrant against him?
Yeah.
Restraining order?
Restraining order against me. Except I'm not creepy though.
Well, that's debatable. Is it still on?
What? I'm creepy?
Ooh, Monsieur is creepy. Oh, it's still live.
Oh, great, I'm on internet saying all this weird stuff.
So now it's official. Monsieur has a restraining order with details of not coming within a 5 feet radius of Stephanie Bias. Is that correct? Does the contractor have any questions? You called me Bobby again.
He did?
I did not.
Oh, I can send this to Bobby. You send it on the camera. Wait, how do I don't know how. Send this to Bobby.
It's live right now?
Send it to Bobby. Wait,
That's it.
But I bet Bobby still watches his videos. Hi, Bobby. He still misses you. He thinks I'm you because I'm his long lost son as well.
Because they're like the same person.
Yeah.
Well, I am much more handsome than Bobby, so that can't be true.
That's like Bobby will say.
He would say I'm much more handsome, wouldn't he?
What does it say?
No, he says I'm the most beautiful person alive.
He's like, I'm the sexiest, most attractive, charmingest person on this planet. I came on this world and I said, hi doctor, I'm gonna be president 2040. That's literally him. And I'm like, okay.
Do you just get like a
We already
just like when he puts on his
I remember
collar?
everything he says all the time. It's like a little like, oh my god, I keep saying it, like a recording.
Give me like a Bobby trailer.
Oh my god.
Ooh, not.
So, Erica, what are you making for 10?
Not.
What do you mean, what am I making for
Oh,
dinner?
Are you
notebook.
bringing something?
I don't know if I'm gonna bring
Yeah.
it.
I guess
I
they're
want
drug.
everyone to bring something.
Are you making drug?